Today's October 1st, 2025, and so I did basically complete the front of my sign. I haven't put anything on yet, but I ran out of screws and I have to look for some more. But I got everything. I got the hard part done basically. Okay, so look. Alright. So it's 12 by 16. 12 going up and down. 16 going across. It's 6 sheets of plywood. and look. Alright. Oh, look, the last sheet up there. I had to use my engine hoist to get that piece up there. And anyway, it's not really a happy day for me, but I want to show you sport. Because look. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, dude, no, baby. No, baby. No, baby. No, baby. Yeah. And let's see here. Look, I'm watching this here. Well, that's a movie. I don't really watch that many movies, but it's on YouTube. And it said this is a movie you want to watch again and again. So look, I watched about, 3/4 of it, and about 3/4 of it, and so so far it's about this place where they growing coffee beans. Might be Peru, but the people are poor, but they're working, and then you got a rich plantation manager that's going into foreclosure, and then marrying off his daughter to this other guy who's supposed to be rich, but she's actually in love with the first doctor, who had good motives for coming there, and who's helping this boy out, who he met when he was a real little boy, a half-breed. And anyway, I don't want to talk about all that right now, but these two young people fell in love with each other, knowing each other from a distance, one being a villager and the other being a princess, kinda. And but she's being married off, and so right now she's depressed, and he's depressed because he's been wanting to meet her all his life, because they put eyes on each other ever since they were real tiny little children. And look, the point is, it was making me think, like how it used to be. Kids and stuff would be, basically like sold, and the better price that you could get for a child, the better. The more money you could get for a child, the better, or whatever, because like you wanted back in the day, or maybe say your daughter, like in this case, to marry somebody who comes from a lot of money and has a good job or something. Okay. And it could work the other way too. There's all kinds of like Romeo and Juliet stories. And, making me think about the feeling of, like, that this is not really your life. You live at the pleasure of somebody else or something like that. And with my sign out there, I was also thinking, like, the first line might be, after the advent of Donald Trump, we prayed to die. Donald Trump, he just had him and Hegspeth, the Department of Defense, now called the Department of War Secretary. He called a meeting of all the generals in the military and everything, all the the people that are like in the Army. I think they're called generals. I don't know. In the Navy, you might call them admirals. I'm not really. They have different names for different top brass. Okay. Well, he brought them all together and told them how things are going to be going forward. And then Donald Trump got up and said that we have to be prepared to go into our cities and go to war with the civilians in our cities, because all hell is breaking loose. And he said, and we can go into our cities as preparation for war with other countries. And this can be good preparation for the military. You see? This is like unheard of. In our Constitution, it even says, no, the military is not going to be used against the citizenry. The military is only going to be used in defense of the nation. Well, I don't know. This administration has gone more than any other time in history in of the existence of the United States of America. We've never had a turn like this. Like, I think Charlie Kirk's slogan was turning point or something like that, Well, this is a real turning point for a certain kind of nationalism that excludes everybody else except for the Donald Trump regime. And it could be the GOP regime, the Republican regime, or, it was trying to get things into like a one-party system. And anyways, when that happens, you get the sense of, when you lose your freedom, you get a sense of, like, it's not your life. It's like that girl in the movie, that I'm watching right now. I sure hope she don't commit suicide or something. Or don't have like a Romeo Juliet ending where they both kill themselves. I don't really like watching movies with sad endings. I prefer to watch stuff with happy endings. And the more you think about a sad ending, is the more likely you're going to get a sad ending. That's what they say. They call this, sometimes they call this in psychology, self-fulfilling prophecy. And I understand, that your consciousness does in a certain way, create your own reality. And my mom even said that. And I hear this from modern uh, modern thought, going all the way from sciences like quantum physics and the entanglement, what they call entanglement and everything, and to the more theoretical stuff about pure consciousness and what it is, which is also scientifically based as much as they can go, and then even into the spiritual and religious kind of motifs, and philosophers and motivational speakers to get people motivated. You got to think positively. That's why I don't really like watching movies with sad endings, but life sometimes ends sadly. So that brings me to my third point. My sign, the movie, and sport. Look. Well, that was Goldie barking, because Sally is encroaching upon her territory. Well, look, Sport's over there. He's been laying, and he seems to be sad. He don't act happy like he used to. And this has all come on all of a sudden. He's not eating, and I already spent all the money I got. I ain't even got enough money now to buy food. I mean, a good thing I had a lot of beans. I mean, I'm cooking beans in crock pot every day, and I'm about ready to run out of rice. And then I don't think my dogs are going to have any food to eat. I'll make everything, but I got to be careful. I mean, I can't give them stuff with like too much salt, and they're not actually, they don't like to eat like, fruit and stuff like that, canned fruit or anything. I do have some canned fruit, but they're not gonna eat that. Anyway, so right now I'm like at the bottom of the barrel. Yeah, I don't know how we're gonna make it, because I gotta, right now at this time in my life, October 1st, 2025. Make sure that's what it is. Yeah, it's going at 7 o'clock. But so I was thinking about sport, and the thing is, I just can't help but think, all my dogs, are teaching me, most of all what they teach me is how to die. Sport's dying. And it's sad for me. And when Rosie was dying, when she got sick and she ate that tumor that was hanging on her leg off, and then she started getting real sick, I couldn't see her suffer anymore. I had to take her in and have her put down. But they wouldn't let me be with her when they put her down, because I couldn't afford it. I had to go to a place where they just take your dog and put it down. That's all I could afford. And so sport affords me the opportunity to watch him die with dignity. And somberness. I watch him. I mean, he's a sports boy. Sometimes I call my dogs him, and sometimes I say her. But the thing is, I spent all my money. I mean, like almost $1,000 almost, to try to save sport. Now I don't have any money for anything else. But I know that I did the right thing. Come what may. I know I'm not thinking like, like, 2 or 3 steps ahead. I'm thinking like the next right thing to do. And so, this movie, I don't know, I'm really curious, what the next right thing for them to do is going to be. Guess the one doctor, he said, if you're meant to be with that woman, you'll be with her. Well, in an ideal world, that would be true. But some people live in such a situation that their lives don't belong to them. That's what the thing about, the Christianity really appealed to me was, that you give your life to Christ and then your life no longer belongs to you. You live for another. And it does help people. It gives them a purpose and a meaning. Something that's bigger than themselves. Something they can aspire to. But, not everybody has that. And not everybody has it in the same way as another. But I sure hope I am talking to you, my grandchildren, because it's one thing just to think a thought, and it's another thing to write a thought down. And it's another thing if you can actually think that you might be talking to somebody. I hope I'm talking to you. I hope you see this, And this one right here. Things are getting really so bad in the world that this could be the beginning of the end. Really. Depending on how things go. I like to think positively. And but I know that it doesn't always work out that way. And sport's teaching me right now how to confront dying. He's not the first one, and he's not going to be the last one. Because I think, I've thought before, right now, I project myself into the future, and because I know that one day sport's going to be dead. And there's going to come a time when I'm probably going to have to take him in, because unless he just dies naturally, he might starve himself to death. I put food in his mouth and try to make him swallow it like peanut butter and baby food, but he don't even want it. And sometimes, person just lets nature take its course. God will kill you. It might make you suffer a little bit before you die, if there is a God. I hope there is. I've kind of been counting on it a little bit. It would be a real bummer if there wasn't a God, or if there wasn't something bigger than us. If this is just a bunch of bullshit. Because sometimes it does seem like this is a bunch of bullshit. This is what it is. And our lives don't belong to ourselves. And we live at the pleasure of another. And maybe we're just pawns in another person's game. If you're fighting in a war, you'll have that kind of thought. That you're a pawn in somebody else's game. You're fighting somebody else's war. And but there's a Mary John Wilkins song that my mom always used to sing, and play, sing and play, and about, Lord, teach me how to die in peace. Die in peace. That's a good deal. If you can die in peace. You might might have peace in your heart, but and have to die with dignity, because, like, say, for example, if you did get caught up in a fight, you might have to die because you might be overpowered. You might die. Well, and if you win a fight, you'll find out that you also die. You know what? The battery on my phone just told me it's gonna die. Yeah. Sports dying. I feel like, me and my dogs were all dying. I feel like, my death is just around the corner. I pray I don't get shot to death. I don't really want to die by that. I would rather just die in my sleep. But, look, I'm gonna put this sign up here, like, I might piss somebody off. They might shoot me. For all I know, I might shoot somebody else if I ever see them messing with my dog again. Then I might have to just kill them all and then kill myself. Like, if my dog got shot, like if the ICE agents came to my house for some reason, like, maybe because I put the sign up, if they started shooting my dogs, that would be the end of my life. I would not survive that alive. I would kill as many people as I could. If the ICE agents came and they were threatened by my dogs or something, and one of them gets shot, you want to talk about a snake in the grass? Well, I'd take as many out as I could, but I know that I would die in the process, because I wouldn't be able to survive. But if one of my dogs got shot in front of my eyes, that would be the end of my life, because I would kill my enemy. I'd kill my enemy. And if I didn't kill him, I would die trying. So, and okay, one last thought on this regard. Bob Dylan has a song, "Let Me Die in My Bootsteps." He don't say "let me die in my footsteps." I think he says "let me die in my bootsteps." Okay. And it's a prayer. Trump, Sport, it's not like he's dying in his bootsteps. He's wounded and he's laying down, and he's just waiting for the Lord to take him home. I had a buddy who lived here for a while. His name was Mark Freyer at first, and then he changed it to Mark Montu because his stepdad used to beat him, and his stepdad's name was Freyer. So, he changed it back to his original name or something, Montu. And his name was Mark Montu. And he had a real hard life. I could give a talk about him. I certainly could. I put something on Facebook about him one time. But as a commemoration, he prayed, and he would get angry at God, saying, "Why don't God just take me home?" He got so tired of suffering. He just wanted to die. Then hospice came and took him away at his request, because he's just suffering too much, always going to the hospital. So they said they weren't going to take him no more. He just had to go to hospice, and hospice put him down. They gave him morphine. I didn't know hospice didn't know how you. I actually volunteered for hospice work before, but I went to hospice to see people on hospice in their homes and stuff. I didn't know that basically if you go to hospice, they pump you up with morphine and just put you to sleep. They, put you down. They say they don't do that, but that's actually what they do. And it's a mercy killing, institutional mercy killing. So, but hey baby. I don't know if you can see him over there, but it's sad. Alright, that's my note for today. But on the sign, I'm also going to put up there, like dung butter and dildos for sale. Only for assholes. Okay. And men with manginas. Only for Republicans. Republicans only. Brought to you by that anti-Trump shit. We keep the tea in Rump. Keep the tea in Rump. I don't know. I'm just gonna call this one "Keep the Tea in Rump." This is a time when I'm getting ready to put something actually on my sign. I got it built. I'm facing sports death. And I'm about ready to see how this movie ends. I'm hoping it's not too depressing, because sometimes, it's kind of like it's not really your own life, or like for me, I mean, why? C.S. Lewis, he wrote a book called The Problem of Pain. So, I always ask myself why. And if there is a reason why, I mean, I got to do my best to to do right. But look, now I put water in the pot. I gotta cook them the last rice I got. I think about the last rice I got. Mix it with the beans I took and feed my dogs. But keep the tea in Rump. And I'm gonna have to figure out my own stuff what that means. Bye.